Over the last 3 months, I have done short videos on over 200 players ahead of proposed transfers. Out of those videos, 77 of the transfers I covered ended up happening. Now, for these players, I know a considerable amount. I would watch highlights of them, or I would have already watched them anyway. Then I'd study the statistics, and then I'd talk to fans before and after the video. Basically, there's barely anyone on this planet who knows more about the players who moved in this window than me. And we should probably explain what that is on my forehead. Basically, I was wearing glasses playing football and I went in for a diving header. You can imagine that went well. So ignore that on my face, please. And so I have a list of 77 transfers, mainly to the Premier League, but a couple from Europe. And these are the highest profile moves, and I am going to rank them. This isn't a clickbait title. This is pretty much the ultimate transfer window ranking. Let's go. 77, Aaron Ramsdale. Was there any doubt? 13 goals conceded from outside of the box. Bought for 30 million, more than what Magnon and Areola have moved for this window. Arsenal could have got Onana, who is now Inter Milan bound. 76, Gollini to Spurs. There's poor stats behind this guy, even if it's only a loan. He was one of the worst in Serie A, 19th worst in fact, for stopping crosses coming into the box. And yeah, I think it's just wasted wages. Gonzalez to Fiorentina. He converts 12% of his shots into goals. For context, Kane converts 17%, and he takes a lot more shots than Gonzalez. He played 15 games for Stuttgart last season, so for the amount of money he went for, over £20 million, I don't get it. Daniel James to Leeds. James has been bought for more money than Rafinha was. I mean, I love Bielsa, but he's got his work cut out turning James into something. He completed 0.7 dribbles per 90 last season, and we all know what he's like with his decision making in the final third. Cucurella to Brighton. This guy doesn't make sense. He lacks the attacking threat to play on the wing for Brighton, and he lacks the defensive solidity to play in defence, because he completed, well, he won less than 50% of his ground duels and aerial duels. So I think he's going to sort into left wing back, but I don't get it. Someone on Twitter did point out to me that he has high pressures per 90 numbers, so he'll work hard, I guess. Munoz to Newcastle. There is actually a lot of hype around this guy before he moved to Newcastle, but I think a lot of it is due to the fact that he is the same guy from Goal. He's a big fan of the movie though, so maybe he will repeat the story. Ben White to Arsenal. Lots of people have said more than me, so I'll just quickly lay off my quick thoughts. It's a massive overpayment. You could have got a different centre-back for the same value. When I get Arsenal had reached the limit of their homegrown quota, or the foreign player quota, but still, I just think it's too much money for Ben White. Jose Sarr to Wolves. This is like a copy and paste transfer. 28-year-old Portuguese goalkeeper to Wolves, who's going to replace like a 34-year-old Portuguese goalkeeper. Okay. 69, Broja to Southampton. I rated this low because Broja, when I watched him in the Eredivisie for Vitesse, he was quite unimpressive, and it's not to say he won't be a good striker in the future, but I just don't think he's anywhere near that now. And he's been brought into Southampton, where if Armstrong gets injured, he'll be coming up later in the list, then they're going to rely on this kid to replace Danny Ings. 68, Mosquera to Wolves. Yeah, this was meh. Firpo to Leeds. Again from Leeds, I think their business is quite weak. I think Firpo has stalled for too long at Barcelona. So again, Bielsa's going to have his work cut out to turn Firpo into something special. 66, Rashica to Norwich. Similar to Firpo, I just think he's stalled for a bit too long at Werder Bremen. He's going to have to do a lot at Norwich to help keep them up, and I'm unconvinced he can do that for a hefty fee they paid for him, considering, you know, they're a promoted club. Nuno Mendes to PSG. PSG do have Bernat to come back, so it's not too bad a move. I don't know. I think he's one of the weaker left backs they could have brought, considering he's only had a couple of seasons of decent football in Liga NOS. Ramos to PSG. I think if PSG had already got Messi in, Ramos would be nowhere near this team, because he's fairly injury prone nowadays, and he's going to be on hefty wages. Martin Payero to Middlesbrough. Yeah, I forgot to record this one live, but it's a good move, thanks to the people on TikTok who shouted it out. Demarai Gray to Everton. This is a decent move because his numbers are a little bit better than you would expect, and the fee is so low that there's basically minimal risk. Loser to Watford. Loser's been decent for Nantes in Ligue 1, but some people are making the mistake that he's a goal-scoring midfielder. Most of his goals last season came from penalties, so I wouldn't expect too much from him in the final third. Moving into number 60, Onyeka to Brentford. Yeah, he's a very Brentford-y signing. He's one of the players I know the least about on this list. he's just going to have a bit of trouble transitioning into the Premier League, but that's alright. Camavinga to Real Madrid. Camavinga? Why is he ranked so low? Because he could have gone to any big club, and going to Real Madrid, that's huge pressure. Look at Hazard, Jovic, Eder Militao, Rodrigo, right? All the players that have moved to Real Madrid and not started quickly, they quickly see their career flunk. In fact, I think Modric is the last person I can remember who came in, had a bad first season and turned it around. Basically, Camavinga has a lot of pressure on him at a young age to, 1, break into this midfield, and 2, actually perform well. Konate to Liverpool. This could have been higher if Liverpool had spent other money on like a forward or a midfielder, but it's pretty clear they spent the budget on Konate, and I think defence, honestly, was actually the area they least needed to improve after the reinforcements they've made over the season. Gilmour to Norwich. I think Gilmour's decent, but my God, I hope he hits the ground running for Norwich. Vlasic to West Ham. He scored some fantastic goals, but let's hope he transitions that well over to the Premier League, because the fee was extortionate. 55, Zouma to West Ham. The next West Ham signing. I think Zouma is defensively error prone for me. He does a lot of ball watching, but I trust David Moyes to turn him into something, and I think he'll be less exposed in a West Ham defence rather than a Chelsea one. 54, Tavares to Arsenal. Yeah, this is a decent signing. Good backup for Tierney and looks okay. Mwepu to Brighton. This is a much better signing from Cucurella. Mwepu is versatile and rather talented, I think, so I like this move. Cunha to Atletico. Cunha could have been high on this list, but Atletico, he's going to have to fight for minutes. I mean, look what's happened to João Felix at the moment, right? He needs to hit the ground like a superstar. Otherwise, he's going to be put out of that side and it could stall his career. Lokonga to Arsenal. Now, in Belgium, Lokonga would make some quite ropey errors for Anderlecht, but he was really good in the final thirds and he started well at Arsenal, I think. So this is a good move for Arsenal. Top 50 now. We've got Bracolo to... I forgot what team he's moved to. I think it's Bologna. We'll say Bologna. It might be Cagliari. Either way, he could have been higher on this list had he not refused to wear an LGBT armband. Papa Sarr to Spurs. Sarr is very unproven, but the signs are good and it's a harmless move to take him in under the Spurs umbrella and loan him back out. Nice work, Paratici. 48, Trincao to Wolves. Probably their best signing. Trincao's a really technically gifted player. You just have to look at his time at Braga before he moved to Barcelona. I really like what I've seen of him. I just hope that he gets given the time at Wolves and he can really flourish there. Kyogo Furuhashi to Celtic. I told the Celtic fans Kyogo looked like a great finisher and he has started like a rocket. In fact, just go and ask Chris Howell for Football Daily. He'll tell you what a superstar he's looking like already. Harry Wilson to Fulham. Wilson is mainly a set-piece specialist, but that's a quality not everyone has, so decent business for Fulham. Saul to Chelsea. I hope they don't make it permanent, but the depth is really good and it genuinely helps Chelsea challenge for a treble this season. Pino Livramento to Southampton. Look at the previous Chelsea Academy Player of the Years and tell me why I was silly to say Livramento is set for big things at Southampton. Tomiyasu to Arsenal. Tomiyasu is a very versatile player. In fact, he's pretty much both-footed. Only 67% right-footed, which is a fairly even statistic for a footballer. And I think he can fill a number of roles for Arsenal. Right back, centre back, even left back. Yeah. Pretty good. We are really getting into the good signings now, so don't take any insults from these players if they're ranked what you think a bit low. Alex Krau to West Ham. Krau is a great player to watch. He's so aesthetically pleasing on the ball with his dribbling ability. Yeah, I love Krau. This is a great move for West Ham and some extremely needed depth in midfield. Cornet to Burnley. Cornet is a guy who will be able to plug a lot of holes for Burnley. He'll be an upgrade at right wing and he'll be an upgrade at left back where he's played for pretty much the last 18 months. So some smart business from Burnley, and it's not the last Burnley move on this list. Number 40, Gonzalez to Norwich. Gonzalez's Europa League numbers are high, like sky high. Let's just hope he can transition some of that into the Premier League for Norwich and help keep them up. Lianco to Southampton. Lianco is a swift, quick replacement for Vestergaard, and honestly, if we're ranking sales, Southampton are finishing bottom on this list. Soumare to Leicester. He's a decent midfielder who will provide useful depth for Leicester. He's not a world beater, but he's good. Josh Sargent to Norwich. Sargent is great. He offers something very different to what Pukki does. He's pretty tall. He can act as a target man, and he's got the pace for running behind. I think this was smart from Norwich because Pukki's a little bit too predictable. So Good business there for Josh Sargent. Leon Bailey to Villa. Bailey was top of the Bayer Leverkusen squad for shot creating actions per 90, and he was third in the Bundesliga for dribbles per 90. In other words, a very fun attacking player. Pierluigi to Norwich. So many bloody Norwich players. Lees-Malou is a Prem level midfielder, and he's moving to a side that needs that Prem level talent. Not much else to say. Abraham to Roma. Tammy Abraham's a player who will always carry some value, and he looks to have started like a rocket in Roma, so yeah. Good business for Jose Mourinho. Hill to Spurs. Incredibly raw, but extremely talented. I was surprised when Spurs picked him up. I think it was the first proper link outside of Serie A from Fabio Paratici. Yeah, this is great business. Don't expect him to start more than 10 games this season, but I think it'll be a really good move for the future. Patson Daka to Leicester. This move would be ranked higher, but the only reason it's not is because I've actually watched Salzburg in the Austrian Bundesliga, and literally there are some teams they'll play against who will park 10 men behind the ball from minute 1. So the transition to the Premier League there is a bit more difficult than you might expect. Varane to Man United. This is a really good move. It might seem a little low, but I don't know. I think the moves above make a bit more sense. Ozan Tufan to Watford. Tufan makes more sense than Varane. Listen, he may have played for the worst international team of all time, thank you Turkey, but Tufan is in a good age slot. He's coming into Watford and he's proven that he can provide at both ends of the pitch in the Turkish Super League. I think he contributed to 14 goals last season and he hit over 2 tackles and interceptions in midfield, and he slot straight into the 4-1-4-1 Watford provide, so it's a perfectly sensible transfer. 29, Marlon to Dortmund. Marlon is a bit risky because Luke de Jong once scored over 30 goals for PSV, but he has all the raw natural ability to make the mark at Dortmund, and Dortmund are a proven, fantastic coaching setup, so I think they can transform Marlon into a real threat. Dumfries to Inter Milan. He had a really good Euros, but he did prove that positionally he's not perfect. Still, I think Inter Milan couldn't really have got a better right wing back on the market than Denzel Dumfries. Emerson to Spurs. I really rate this move. Emerson was one of the most productive defenders in La Liga last season in tackles and interceptions. While he is a bit rash in his tackles, I think just considering his age, that can be coached out of him, and there's a lot of physical ability there. So guys, tell me down below quickly as well, who do you think got the better deal? Tomiyasu to Arsenal or Emerson to Spurs? Let me know. Tuanzebe to Aston Villa. Again, a very sensible move. It's on loan and Aston Villa need the depth in defence, and Tuanzebe knows the club. He helped them get promoted in 2018-19. Not much wrong here. Adam Armstrong to Southampton. His finishing ability really stands out to me, and that was in the Championship, not just the Premier League where he's shown it off already. Yeah, this is a good move for Southampton. I think statistically and just like the eye test shows, he profiles pretty similarly to Danny Ings. 24, Kabak to Norwich. Highest ranking move for Norwich. It's a great move. Kabak is being missed by Liverpool fans. Think it's a solid move. 23, Collins to Burnley. And a very under the radar move. The 19-year-old, now 20 player for Stoke last season in the Championship was really strong. He still won, I think, 67% of his aerial duels. So this is a really smart pickup for Burnley and a smart transfer window for them. 22, Hakimi to PSG. Hakimi went under my radar, but his electric pace means he's always going to be a threat for PSG going forwards, and he'll always cover them going backwards. 21, Buendia to Aston Villa. Really smart recruitment. He created 18 big chances last season in the Championship, which is more than double what Maddison did in the Premier League. So, yeah. Stunning signing. The man he replaced though in Jack Grealish to Manchester City finishes above him because, well, if Grealish wasn't slightly injury prone, then this move would rank maybe in the top 5. 19, Mark Guehi to Crystal Palace. Widely considered to be one of the best defenders in the Championship last season, it's a really smart pickup, and he's a great partner for the defender who's just above him in this ranking. Joachim Andersen to Crystal Palace. Andersen is a relaxed defender, Guehi is a very aggressive defender. They'll help each other out in that sense. It's a smart partnership, a great business from Palace. And believe it or not, these are the lowest ranked Palace moves in this ranking. Ødegaard to Arsenal. Why has everyone decided that Ødegaard isn't good anymore? This is a guy who burst onto the scene aged 15 and an incredibly well-proven creator. Yeah, to Arsenal, I think this is their best move. Good work. Ings to Aston Villa. So simple. You wanted to replace Grealish's goal output. You've bought a man who will be guaranteed to do that. Perfect. 15, Romain Perraud to Southampton. Another under-the-radar signing, one of the best attacking fullbacks in Ligue 1 last season with high assist numbers. I know Southampton lost Ryan Bertrand, but I think Perraud is an upgrade at a good age. Lukaku to Chelsea. The money threw me off on this one, but it's clear how much he's going to transform this Chelsea side, so yeah, brilliant move. 13, Yaremchuk to Benfica. Yaremchuk over Lukaku? Yes! Yaremchuk has proven for Ghent and Ukraine in the Euros that he can score very well on either foot. So for Benfica, very solid pickup. They've got their striker for the next few years unless a big club comes in for him. 12, Vestergaard to Leicester. Football Daily hate this move and I don't get it. Vestergaard's a proven Premier League defender and Leicester already have Soyuncu and Fofana in terms of the young defenders with potential to get better. They needed experience and Vestergaard provides that, so it's a great move. 11, Laborde to Rennes. Now I originally rated him to West Ham, so I thought I'd throw him in there anyway because he's moved from Montpellier to Rennes. This is a guy who's in the top 10 for aerial duels won in Ligue 1 last season, and he's a good dribbler, decent dribbler rather, and a good creator and striker. So yeah, great move for Rennes, and they've weakened the direct rival. The top 10, Romero to Tottenham. The Serie A Defender of the Year, and it's the final Tottenham transfer in this video. It's a brilliant move. He's going to have to adapt from being an aggressive defender in a back three to more of a passive defender in a back four, but I like it. Michael Olise to Crystal Palace. What a signing. The young player of the year in the Championship, I believe. Very technically gifted dribbler, a good ball progressor too, so smart business for Palace. Number 8, Conor Gallagher to Crystal Palace. Now the reason he fits in better than Olise is 1, because he's not injured, and 2, I think he might have been first in the Premier League last season for pressures per 90, so Conor Gallagher is a very smart pickup for a side who are trying to transition into a system where you need a lot of energy, so smart pickup from Palace. 7, Lookman to Leicester. My favourite Leicester signing, so glad someone picked up Ademola Lookman, one of the most creative players in the Premier League last season and will be able to help out on either wing. Good business from Leicester. 6, Edouard to Palace. The final Palace signing, Vieira likes a striker who can drop deep and link play, and that is Edouard's speciality. He's very good in tight spaces, so Edouard to Palace is a very good move. I'm losing my breath. Jadon Sancho to Man United. I mean, is there any surprise? Sancho, what a signing. 4, Areola to West Ham. This makes even more sense than Sancho though, because Fabianski's 36 years old, will retire soon, and Areola was the best goalkeeper in the Premier League last year. He's on a loan with an option to buy, so by the time at the end of the season he replaces Fabianski, all the West Ham fans will be cheering that they've got a genuinely world-class goalkeeper. 3, Ronaldo! Lots of negativity around this signing. I get it's a bit emotional in terms of the reasons to getting in, but he's still one of the best players in the world. I don't really see how you can hate this move, especially on the money that came in and the marketability that Ronaldo provides. But that means if Ronaldo's third, well, moving into the top 2, there could be only one man who is top. It's not Lionel Messi. He is second. Makes brilliant sense for Ligue 1, makes brilliant sense for PSG, makes brilliant sense for Qatar and their World Cup. But he's not number 1. Because the best transfer of the 2021 summer transfer window was Memphis Depay to Barcelona. Barcelona are in a shit show. And if they didn't get Depay in, I genuinely think they could have finished 4th or 5th. But Depay is a phenomenally talented player. They've got him in on a free in his prime ages. He's been outside of PSG the best player in Ligue 1 for a few seasons now. Well done, Barca. You've done something right for once in the past decade. And that's it. That's it. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.